I've been studying more carefully a book that I've had a long time called Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind by Shunryu Suzuki, or I think what he's referred to as Suzuki-roshi. And he, of course, is a very famous American. I say American, he came from Japan, but he made his mark in America in the Soto Zen lineage, starting a group out in California that really was, I think, the seed from which has sprouted many branches here in the United States in terms of the Soto Zen lineage. And I think that what I'll probably be doing is developing a series of videos excerpting elements from this book that reflect Suzuki-roshi's wisdom, but without necessarily the reference to his practice, which probably is a bit sacrilegious in the sense that, his primary focus is on practice. But he also has many, many good things to say to help us reflect upon the nature of wisdom and the nature of the Buddhist path. But in this particular video, what I want to do is actually read a couple of pages from his book that, which I think represented essentially a series of talks that he gave. And that what he's doing here is kind of outlining the relationship between Hinayana and Mahayana Buddhism. This is potentially, for some people, a source of controversy, of antipathy even, which seems pretty un-Buddhist to me. But in any case, this may help clarify what he thought and how he conceptualized these two major schools of Buddhism, the School of the Elders and the Great Vehicle School. He says, "Our way, which is the Soto Zen way, is both Hinayanistic and Mahayanistic. I always say our practice, which is of course Zazen or sitting meditation, our practice is very Hinayanistic. Actually, we have Hinayana practice with Mahayana spirit, rigid formal practice with informal mind. Although our practice looks very formal, our minds are not formal. Although we practice Zazen every morning in the same way, that is no reason to call this formal practice. It is your discrimination which makes it formal or informal. Inside the practice itself, there is no formal or informal. If you have Mahayana mind, something which people call formal may be informal. So we say that observing the precepts in a Hinayana way is violating the precepts in a Mahayana way. If you observe our precepts in just a formal way, you lose your Mahayana spirit. Before you understand this point, you always have a problem. Whether you should observe our way literally, or whether you should not concern yourself about the formality which we have. But if you understand our way completely, there is no such problem, because whatever you do is practice. As long as you have Mahayana mind, there is no Mahayana or Hinayana practice. Even though it seems as if you are violating the precepts, you are actually observing them in their true sense. The point is whether you have big mind or small mind. In short, when you do everything without thinking about whether it is good or bad, and when you do something with your whole mind and body, then that is our way." Dogen Zenji said, quote, "When you say something to someone, he may not accept it, but do not try to make him understand it intellectually. Do not argue with him. Just listen to his objections until he himself finds something wrong with them." Close quote. This is very interesting. Try not to force your idea on someone, but rather think about it with him. If you feel you have won the discussion, that also is the wrong attitude. Try not to win in the argument, just listen to it. But it is also wrong to behave as if you had lost. Usually, when we say something, we are apt to try to sell our teaching or force our idea. But between Zen students, there is no special purpose in speaking or in listening. Sometimes we listen, sometimes we talk. That is all. It is like a greeting, quote, "Good morning." Through this kind of communication, we can develop our way. Not to say anything may be very good, but there is no reason why we should always be silent. Whatever you do, even including not doing, that is our practice. That is an expression of big mind. So big mind is something to express, but it is not something to figure out. Big mind is something you have, not something to seek for. Big mind is something to talk about or to express by our activity, or something to enjoy. If we do this, in our way of observing precepts, there is no Hinayana way or Mahayana way. Only because you seek to gain something through rigid formal practice does it become a problem for you. But if we appreciate whatever problem we have as an expression of big mind, it is not a problem anymore. Sometimes our problem is that big mind is very complicated. Sometimes big mind is too simple to figure out. That is also big mind. But because you try to figure out what it is, because you want to simplify the complicated big mind, it becomes a problem for you. So whether you have a problem in your life or not depends upon your own attitude, your own understanding. Because of the double or paradoxical nature of truth, there should be no problem of understanding if you have big Mahayana mind.